Hello, my name is Donald Webb, and today I will be talking to you about how to improve equality in education. We currently live in a country where the word united is even in its name. The United States is a country where we claim proudly that Americans reside in the land of the free, land of opportunity, and land of equality. As much as we all would like to believe that, this is far from our truth. We actually live in a country where inequality and injustice prevails, especially when it comes to the quality between education in high poverty and low poverty school districts. I personally grew up in a high poverty community, attended school in a high poverty school district. So I definitely see the difference, and I can definitely tell the effects that high poverty schools had on my educational path. We can greatly improve equality in education and close the gap in quality of education between high poverty and low poverty school districts by implementing a few incentives for teachers, increasing morale in schools, and by improving access to resources for high poverty districts. There are three main things that I want to point out tonight or stress to you tonight is underqualified teachers in high poverty school districts, how high morale improves student production, and implementing incentives. Now I would like to discuss underqualified teachers in high poverty school districts. In November 2019, an EdSource.org staff writer by the name of Mr. John Finsterwald wrote an article titled California is poised to confront high proportions of underqualified teachers in low income or high poverty um, schools. So in this article, he discusses and highlights the issues of underqualified teachers working in high poverty school districts in high proportions. Mr. Finsterwald talks about how important it is for change to happen because these high poverty schools districts and schools house student populations with the highest needs. He also goes on to state that this is a huge problem. Quote, even though those students require the most expert teachers, and research has shown the effectiveness of the classroom teachers and the biggest in-school factor contributing to student achievement. In other words, the better the quality of the teacher, the better outcome for the student. The more qualified the teacher, the higher success rate for the students. So I understand that most people will want to work in situations where they get paid the most and compensated the most. And teachers shouldn't be the exception. I also understand that where there is low poverty residency, a teacher's salary will also be higher as well because typically low poverty equates to higher income districts. Teachers are the lifeblood to the success of students, and student success is the lifeblood of districts, communities, state, and beyond success overall. All students should be afforded the best education and not shortchanged due to circumstances which is out of their control, like being in a high poverty school district or school. Now I would like to talk about high morale and how it improves student production. The University of California, LA, or also known as UCLA, they have a website called the Blueprint. And one of their writers, Kathleen Kelleher, penned a research article titled Unequal Schools, Generations of Poverty, where she discusses the hardships the students face within educational systems, such as less attention from teachers for one on one instruction to address the needs they may have. Ms. Kelleher talks about the director of UCLA's Institute for Democracy, Education, and Access, or other words known as IDEA, Mr. John Rogers. Mr. John Rogers conducted a survey or study with a postdoctoral scholar named Nicole Mirror. This study that was conducted took a sample-sized survey of 800 California teachers during the 2013-14 school year. The report from this data titled, It's About Time, Learning Time and Educational Opportunity in California High Schools, which displayed significant differences among high poverty and low poverty high schools. One piece of data I would like to point out from the report stated 3 to 4 times more students at high poverty schools than at low poverty schools struggle with economic and social stressors, including unstable housing, hunger, and lack of medical and dental care. On any given day, students at high poverty schools face a 39% chance that life problems would decrease their time for academic learning, in contrast to a 13% chance that students at low poverty schools, due to facing all these issues outside of school, this stresses how important having a highly positive, high morale environment at a school is important. School should be a safe environment for all students and should not be an added stressor. Now, if I could think back to when I was in grade school and in the early 90s, when I was in 5th grade to be exact, I had a teacher by the name of Mrs. Ryan. And I still keep in contact with that teacher today. But Mrs. Ryan was someone that I ended up appreciating and actually giving me a foundation to appreciate learning. Before 5th grade, I was never really a student who was excited in school. I attended a low-income school district that was very new, maybe only a few years old. I had issues with fighting other kids in school, but when I met my 5th grade teacher on the first day of school, she greeted the class with so much energy and excitement. I've never experienced this type of high energy and morale in school before. By the end of the school year, our class was awarded the 5th grade Academic Excellence Award. And along with that, my grades improved exponentially. It was the first time I can honestly say I enjoyed school and looked forward to attending class every day. I recently read an excerpt from a paper titled Relationships Between Teacher Morale and School Climate, published in the Corinthian of Georgia College and State University by Stephanie Blackwell, that talks about how high teacher morale will have a tremendous impact on students' achievements, she quotes. The reason my teacher in 5th grade used high morale in her classroom was due to her experience in education and understanding the effects morale has on students. Last point I would like to bring up and discuss with you is implementing incentives. Lastly, we need to give some type of incentives to highly qualified teachers to take their expertise to high poverty/low income school districts so we can begin to achieve educational equality and implementing and eliminating, inequalities in education. Some incentives could be access to better resources like computer labs, up-to-date libraries, classroom facilities, and safer school campuses. Along with that, we should also look into giving teachers who decide to teach in high poverty school districts some type of accolade or award or bonus if they can take a below average situation and create an above average student success rate when it comes to student grades and accomplishments. A study called Getting Down to the Facts 2 states that state support for higher education has dropped from 17% of the general fund in the 1970s to under 12%. This has affected high poverty school districts the most because the lack of more resources or better resources. If we could put more emphasis on increasing incentives and budgets for these school districts in need, then this will entice all types of professionally qualified teachers to teach in these districts due to the incentives or the challenges. I know most of you are thinking, and most people are thinking in general, that we can't solve wrong, everything wrong with education, with the educational system, by throwing money at it, hoping it goes away. And even if we did, the amount of money it takes would be way beyond any educational budget. Because if we do that, if we give incentives to highly qualified teachers for working in high poverty school districts, then we must also do the same for highly qualified teachers in low poverty school districts. But I would like to challenge you tonight. If we truly believe that we are a country who is united and that we all reside in the land of the free, land of opportunity, and land of equality, it is vital that we stop talking about the obvious issues when it comes to equality in education. We need to attack this issue head on because it will benefit all parties involved. I have been able to discuss three major points when it comes to this issue and how addressing these points can greatly improve us closing the gap of higher learning and equality between high poverty schools and low poverty schools. The time for change, especially a positive change, is now. If we value education, then we must prove it. Actions speak louder than words. Thank you.